And there that is. Let's get right here. Ooh. See. Then I think I'd have this all figured out by now. Let's see. Then got fix this in. New source. Do that right there. There we go. Are you here, Shadow?
Yeah.
Hey.
Hello.
What's up?
I am so incredibly nervous right now.
You're nervous? No need to be nervous. There's not too much going on. This is all for fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, hopefully the time is good.
Yeah, it's perfect time for me.
Yeah, you said you're in the UK, so it's like, what, around 6 o'clock where you're at right now?
Yeah, 6.
6, got it.
Yeah, just past 6. Like 10 minutes past 6.
For me, it's 10 minutes past noon, so...
Yeah, it's good for both of us then.
Yeah, where in the UK are you?
So I'm in Wales. It's
Oh,
on
you're
the
in
left of...
Wales, okay.
Yeah, the left of England.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happens here.
Nothing ever happens there.
Yeah, whenever like a band or something comes over here, they say, "Oh, we're doing a tour in the UK," and they always go to like Birmingham, which is in England, London, England.
I can definitely...
Very rarely do they come to Wales.
I can definitely feel that too where I'm at because I'm in the middle of Nebraska in the U.S. And so whenever like bands say, we're touring all across the country, it's always L.A. It's always maybe New York, right? It's all these big like coastal places, and they never come anywhere else.
And they never come to where like you're closest.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that.
Yeah, there's a band over here now. They were formed like half an hour away from me, and when they do the UK tours, they always come to like every place in Wales because they were formed there, thankfully.
Oh, okay. Yeah, last concert I went to was Slipknot, and the only reason they came anywhere near me was because one, like you said, they're from that part of the country, and so they want to tour there. And so you just got to get lucky and hope that big bands derive from that part of the country.
Yeah, it's very rare that you get like anyone outside of like the local place just tour where you are.
That's true, but it makes it more exciting, I suppose.
Yeah.
For the U.S., though, I mean, the U.S. is huge, and so sometimes being close to where I live can mean like an 8-hour drive. So,
The 8 hour drive from here is about like to the top of the island where Scotland is.
yeah, that's fair. That's always weird to like put into perspective for me because like an 8-hour drive for me would be Colorado, which is the state directly below us. Yeah, I mean the U.S. is very big, which is a very unfortunate for when I want to go somewhere.
I
It's
think Texas is bigger than the UK as well.
is the entirety of Texas bigger than the UK? I wouldn't be too
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah,
Yeah, I've been to Texas before. It is definitely a big place. Getting from one end of Texas to the other takes forever, and there are lots of subcultures within Texas.
yeah. It's not like Europe where one hour you're in Germany, the next Sweden or wherever it is.
Yeah, that sounds crazy to me because I've never left the U.S. before, but I've been pretty far from home, right?
Yeah, how far was like the furthest you've been
From
like top speed?
here to Texas, I'd say from here to Corpus Christi, Texas, and so if I could just type it, and we drove there. So let me see. If I typed into my thing, let's see, take me to Corpus Christi, Texas. That's okay. So that's about 15 hours and 11 minutes from now.
Yeah, that's like twice the UK, really.
Interesting, because I'm in the most landlocked state of the union, right? Like it's the same distance roughly to go left, right, or up into Canada or down into Mexico, right? And so yeah, that's about 15 hours to get from the center of the U.S. to one of the coasts, which is yeah. Honestly, I'm surprised it's that little.
Just goes to show how large the US can be.
Yeah, and that's not always a good thing, like I said. One of the big things though I can't imagine is like online gaming in Europe, right? Like EU servers.
Yeah, we have a bunch of servers just like the US, but because US people like to go on Europe servers, it sometimes means that they get a lot of ping. Same if we try and join US servers.
Mm-hmm.
It's no fun time for everyone.
Fair enough. There's never too many issues with like a language barrier or anything. If there's I mean, there are
No,
some countries that are less uh, English proficient, I guess, right?
surprisingly, most people speak English to some degree, but
Mm-hmm.
they will try and speak their national language when they can.
Okay. The biggest reason I asked is because if I was on like the League of Legends PB where there's only one server and it's located in the US and everybody had to tune into that one, there was a lot of Portuguese, there was a lot of Spanish, there was a lot of so
Yeah, that,
hmm?
y- yeah, that can be kind of conflicting and confusing for those that don't know those languages.
Right. I think one of the big reasons that people in the US like to play on EU servers is because for some reason we get the idea that people in the EU are better at the game, and so it's like a better, more rite of passage to like be good at a game in an EU server than it is in the US or in a North American server.
I honestly didn't know that. I thought like most of the top players would be in America or something.
You would think so, but like going back to League, for example, that's the first one that comes to mind. It's like North America is considered like one of the weakest ones, and then like people say, oh yeah, well, being this rank in North America is like being this rank in the EU, and so some people will try to play in EU, and like Korean servers are considered the best, but nobody plays on those because the ping gets really high. So I don't know. Like maybe people are just better in Europe at that game. It happens
Wouldn't
in
be
some other
surprised.
ones too. Whenever I'm watching like Counter Strike or something, all the teams are always European. Like without I mean, there's very little in terms of North American representation, and so like it's very dominated by that one continent.
Turns out us Europeans like shooters, apparently, which
ah,
I didn't know about.
yeah, I don't know. I think part of it comes from there was a point in like the early 2000s where certain like Eastern European countries where it was more expensive to get like new computer hardware and the whatnot, so they kept playing a lot of shooters that were less demanding than like newer MOBAs or anything like that. And so I guess that would explain why some people are getting so good at them.
I think the big thing right now is CS:GO for Eastern Europe.
That's what I was saying. Like Eastern Europe, Counter Strike is huge. What
Yeah,
else?
that's huge for PC.
Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking.
I know Call of Duty is big, but probably not as big as CS:GO for PC.
Call of
I
Duty
think
gets a
like
lot of people playing it, but I don't think it has nearly as big of a competitive scene.
I think it's more like a console thing.
Yeah, definitely. It never performs well on PC. I bought one of them on PC, and they, the developers like Activision or whatever, never patched it or really kept up with it, and so it got really overrun really quickly until they started working in crossplay. Until
Only
then,
the
they
more
just didn't
recent
care.
ones, isn't it?
Yeah, just the most recent ones and like Warzone and the such. I think I haven't played since, so I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on that.
The older games are so expensive on Steam now as well.
Yeah, that
I mean,
annoys me to
yeah.
no end. Even Black Ops 2, which came out literally a decade ago, is still $60, like full price.
Now I wouldn't mind that if it came with all the DLC, but it doesn't.
It doesn't know. That's the only reason I haven't like picked any of those up on Steam is because they still insist on charging you ridiculous amounts of money for it.
Yeah, I got Call of Duty World at War somewhere. It's not in my room right now, I don't think. It's on a physical disc.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully my computer does have a disk drive because I asked for one.
Oh,
So I try and install it and the game says it basically says that it's trying to send information to a server that no longer
it
exists, so I
might.
can't install the game.
I hope it's not a game for Windows Live.
No, frankly, it's no.
Okay.
So I have to pretty much buy the game again on Steam if I want to play, or just play on the 360.
Yeah, you're more likely to run into those issues the more, the later, the older the game becomes, the longer they've stopped supporting it.
Yeah, it's done it with Call of Duty 4 as well.
Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, at least Call of Duty 4 is going for less money, but it's seriously weird to me that Black Ops 2 goes for $60, and then like I think at its least for like a Steam sale, I've seen it go for like 20.
Yeah, it was so expensive. Don't know why.
Kind of makes me wonder if the projector, if like G2A has it for even cheaper. I don't know if they. I think they have that. It works with countries in the EU. Hold on.
Yeah, it does work with the EU countries.
Okay, let me see here. So I have. If I look up Black Ops 2. Yeah, the lowest I'm seeing it is 1954.
Still quite a bit for a decade-old
Oh,
game.
this is the Vengeance gift. Hold on, that's a DLC. Hold on. Black Ops 2. That's for Vengeance. Yeah, okay, this one for Europe is $56. This one that's global is $47.50. That's even G2A isn't picking up these games very easily. Because to get it with the
Why do
season
we?
pass is 136.
Why are there always so much?
They just don't want to put it on sale. I guess if they think that people are going to buy it anyway, then what's the point in dropping it? But who's buying these decade-old games for a full AAA price?
I mean, I kind of did with Black Ops 3 a few years back.
Gotcha. I bought that one when it first came out, so at least I had an excuse to pay that much.
I think the PC version always comes with the Zombies Chronicles DLC, so for like $60 for like 10 zombie maps, it was worth it for me.
Ah, that was not the case when I bought it. Came out in what, 2015?
Yeah, and it's like nearly 7 years old now.
Yeah. I mean, that one's not quite as egregious just because it still came out 3 years after Black Ops 2, but it's still ridiculous.
It does have Steam Workshop support, thankfully, as well, so
That's
it makes it
true.
worth it.
That's true. I played a few workshop games on that, but again, uh,
Yeah, it might be a little much. Some might say it's worth it, some might say it's not.
I mean, money. I mean, people are spending thousands of dollars on CS:GO crates. I don't think $60 is that much to them. more of a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, you'd be surprised about what people would spend money on for stuff like CS:GO.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a college student, right? And so money has a lot of meaning to me, just like even the small amounts. I guess like if I'm in a position where I actually have a reasonable income and can support myself, then I can look at it and be like, oh well, that's a hobby or something. But right now, to me, it just seems like holy crap, how can you spend this kind of money on that on something trivial?
Over here in the UK, college is actually kind of different with like monetary value and stuff.
Yeah, that's the case for a lot of things up there compared to the U.S. Unfortunately for us, that's just the way it works around here, especially with things like healthcare.
Yeah,
Uh, Let me think. Shoot. Um, I'm out of it today. I tell you, I was out of it yesterday too, but I'm out of it today as well. So it's like,
yeah, I'm the same way really. Got nothing to talk about. I opened my Steam library and there's this like glowing horse page thing for recent games, and I'm
mm-hmm.
like, oh, what is this? And it's Blender.
It's what?
Blender, the
Oh,
3D.
Blender. Yeah,
Yeah, it just looks so out of place with like the
yeah,
glowing
yeah.
horse that it has for the background.
I didn't even know Blender was on Steam.
Only until a few years back. I think a lot of like new software stuff will come to Steam. I know OBS recently just came to Steam.
OBS just came to Steam. I don't use it for. I don't use it through Steam though. I have it as its own separate thing. That way, I can run more software without it being tied to one thing. Let's see.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
yeah. See what? Oh, that's interesting.
Hmm.
So I like playing this game called Teardown.
Teardown.
Yeah, have you heard of it?
I don't think so.
It's basically a voxel destruction game.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't run well because, well, voxel games
Right, a lot
sometimes
of
don't run well.
objects, a lot of processing being done for each individual thing.
Yeah,
Most.
they've just announced that the full version of the game is coming out.
Oh,
It's already pretty good, but now that there's Steam Workshop support and stuff, people just make silly things.
yeah. Steam Workshop's usually filled with people doing more silly than. Uh, I don't know what else word to say. Like, if you play Left 4 Dead, I know that's a big thing. Like, I
Yeah, I
was looking.
believe someone made the Crash Bandicoot WoW for the Witch.
Oh, I see the meme. Yeah, yeah. I've seen a few interesting ones. Yeah. Most of them I've seen. Like the tank replaced with Shrek. I've seen uh, Larry the lobster from SpongeBob. Like those kind of things. People just love silliness in their bleak zombie games, I guess.
Game modding was a mistake and a blessing at the same time.
Right. People say they love being able to mod things and that they need more control of their games, but then like what happens when you give them that level of
Thomas
power?
the, Thomas the Tank Engine Dragon in Skyrim.
Oh yeah, everyone wants to put Thomas in every game that you can. That's
I,
moddable.
I think they've done it in Elden Ring now.
I didn't even know Elden Ring had mod support unless they would just like black boxed everything and just put it in, replace some files.
I think you need to play on the offline version of the game, which is fine.
Yeah, that sounds like it to me then. Only thing I've done for modding or anything like that is a map I made for CS:GO.
I've only did like some texture mods for Monkey Ball, and that's about it.
Monkey Ball, which Monkey Ball?
Banana Mania.
Banana Mania, yeah. I know that they've been working on cracking the ISO for Super Monkey Ball 2 for custom stages and things like backgrounds and whatnot.
Yeah, that's been happening for years now. I was there when was first being developed.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, people would just make like test maps with like bumpers to see what would happen.
Yeah, it was pretty delicate though when they were first developing for it. I guess the way it was developed was very specific.
I think they all used Blender and they still do.
Hmm. But making it work on the GameCube version and like with its engine was troublesome.
I don't think anyone actually has made any custom maps for the GameCube version,
People have definitely made custom maps.
but will they work on the GameCube is the question.
Physical GameCube, I don't know who's making physical like burnable discs or anything, but I mean through Dolphin, I know people are making things like entire sets of works. I just remember it was such a big deal when they figured out how to get like custom backgrounds too
And custom music.
and custom music.
When did that start? Like 6 years ago or something?
Something like that. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, like 6-year-old me would have loved custom stages back then, and even me, like 18 years later, would still love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, me too.
It's like with Halo's Forge mode.
Hmm. But those things were more of a luxury back then. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't expected out of games, and so when they did appear, it was always so much fun because it's like, wow, what other games are doing this?
Yeah, my mind was blown the first time I played Halo 3's Forge mode in like
Hmm.
multiplayer settings.
Yeah, yeah, that one was a release. That was 2007. That was so that no, that wasn't a release for the 360, but it was pretty close.
Yeah, it was about a year off.
Year off. Yeah, it makes sense.
I think it might have been two because it was September 2007. The Xbox launched in November 2005.
I wouldn't know. I'm not much of a Halo guy. I think the only time I've ever put any time whatsoever into a Halo game was I played Infinite with a buddy who insisted that we try it out for a little bit.
No fan of it.
It's not that I'm not a fan. It's just that I'd never got into it. Right, I'd never had the opportunity to like figure it out.
I'm
And
not. I'm not gonna lie. I've always been more of a Halo kid, but I always played Call of Duty for the zombies.
hmm
So I was kind of like both, but mainly Halo.
we definitely played more Call of Duty. I was we started off with like Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 2, and then we kept buying them every year, but they just kept losing our interest quicker and quicker and quicker as they tried to do more things to keep things engaging, and so we just stopped by like 2015.
Yeah, I'd say Black Ops 3 would be the last good one. I know many people would say Black Ops 2, but for me, Black Ops 3, if you're just playing the zombies, then it's probably the last good one.
Yeah, Black Ops 3 had good zombies, but the thing is, I'm pretty unusual in my taste because I actually enjoyed Ghosts.
Oh God, yeah, I know what people are gonna say now.
Yeah, see, I'm one of the few people who really liked playing Ghosts, and I also really loved I forgot what it was called, the Alien Invasion thing that replaced zombies for that game. Whatever it was a lot of fun, and I liked
I
it.
think I think it's Blackout, or that might have been Infinite
No,
Warfare.
yeah, it wasn't Blackout. I forgot what it was called, but either way, Extinction I think is what it was called.
One of them.
Yeah, yeah, and so I don't know. Me and my buddies loved playing that. And that was the only reason we bought. That was the only game that we bought DLC for Ghosts was for Ghosts because we liked the alien stuff more than like the actual map packs or anything. Because by the time the last DLC came out, there weren't a lot of people that were actually playing Ghosts anymore.
Yeah, I usually bought the DLCs for the zombies. The multiplayer maps was like just freebies for me.
I bought the first two Black Ops 2 ones, I remember, and we bought only one for Advanced Warfare. Black
So
Ops
when
3, I
I
didn't think I did. Hmm?
so when I started playing zombies in like 2010, I started with World at War, got the DLCs,
Mm-hmm.
got Black Ops 1, got all the DLCs, and then when I got to Black Ops 2, the only map there was Transit,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, what is this? Like, I was so confused because it just completely different from Black Ops 1 and World at War. And then I found out they were better maps behind DLC.
Yeah.
So yeah, Transit just kind of leaves like a sour taste.
Yeah, I played Transit in Black Ops 2, but the thing is, a lot of the DLC maps, it just felt like they were trying really hard to make things more engaging and have more things going for it. And so
It just
it felt like it was too much effort for me to like figure out in that
yeah,
game.
it just got a bit complicated for me.
hmm And people
Like with
loved
all
that, but I didn't.
yeah, it just got complicated with all like the buildings and Easter eggs to progress and stuff.
hmm
And I'm just like, no, I want to shoot things.
I want to see how long I can survive, not get a secret ending that requires 20 different things to be concurrently like figured out.
Yeah, maybe hide like some smaller stuff like Doris did in World at War, but that's about it. That's as far as I'll go.
hmm Now, I know the big thing for me was that when Advanced Warfare came out, the movement system made it way too easy to cheese some of the early game stuff for the zombies.
I completely forgot that game had zombies, honestly.
It wasn't very good. They weren't very special. It was. I mean, I just remember that I got sick of it when I found out that you could like jump on top of a piece of the mesh on a wall, and the zombies would never be able to touch you.
Yeah, I think every game has had that since. I remember back at launch, World at War, with Naxxon and Toten, there was a corner you could stand in and the zombies were just confused.
Yeah, that one gets a little more of a pass because it was the first one, right? But by
Yeah, it
Advanced
was a,
Warfare, this one was so it was in the first area too that you could just jump on it and just do nothing and wait for him to die.
I remember in Cold War, the one before the newest one, you could actually jump over a wall without buying the door.
Oh, and so it wouldn't spawn zombies over there or something.
Yeah, all the zombies would just be stuck in the first room, while you can just traverse the entire map.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a little weird. Which is crazy to me because games like Left 4 Dead are way, way older, but they have way smarter AI that you aren't going to be able to get away with that with.
It's like, how did they manage to like mess this up this bad sometimes?
Yeah, I know it's not like the main mode or anything, but if you're going to include it, make sure it works.
Yeah, and like sometimes you go back at old games and think, wow, they was ahead of its time.
hmm Left 4 Dead, people still play it, and I don't blame them. I got into it for the first time pretty recently.
I
And
believe there's more Left 4 Dead players than Back 4 Blood players right now.
yeah, oh, by a long shot, no one plays Back for Blood.
Y-
There are probably more Left 4
Yeah,
Dead players than there are COD Vanguard players. I wouldn't be surprised.
I won't know because it's not on Steam.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. So it's kind of hard to keep track.
Yeah,
But
we only
between,
have
hmm?
we only have the console players and the Battle.net players, which well, I don't think they have any tracking data.
Yeah, it wouldn't be very comparable to Steam either, I guess. But it's kind of hard to do that just because, like you said, more people are playing those kind of games on consoles than they are on PC. So it's hard to tell just by those metrics alone.
Yeah, I don't think console games now give out like data of how many people are playing.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like a Steam luxury.
Yeah, I remember back playing Call of Duty Black Ops. If you went on the multiplayer, you could see how many people were playing multiplayer, how many people were playing certain game modes.
Yeah, that they don't do that anymore on most games, at least in game. I think that's kind of a relic for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Even Halo 3 had it, and that worked until the end of time.
I mean, it also
Well,
used to be that you would look for your own servers, right? It wouldn't automatically place you based off of things like skill and the whatnot. That's a more recent thing, and so and so back before then, you would have needed to know how many different servers there were, but now it's like out of your control anyway, so they don't show it to you.
yeah, I remember Crash Team Racing having a bunch of server issues.
I don't know because I've only ever played the original.
So I bought the Nitro Fueled game when it came out.
hmm
Now I never played the multiplayer, but I scoured Reddit and Twitter, and there were lots of issues with the servers on like day one, week one,
Yeah,
whatever.
I feel like that's kind of an Activision thing,
And then it got even worse somehow.
which is weird because they made you. They had so many microtransactions for it. It's like
Yeah, you'd think they'd make enough money to pay for decent servers.
I don't know. Activision has a track record for that sort of thing. I feel like, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, because they have so many like good developers and they're just not using them.
hmm Who did? Was it Vicarious Visions that did Nitro Fueled, or was it Toys for Bob or
Beanox,
Beanox? Okay,
the
I was
same people that
uncertain.
made the B movie
Right.
on the PS2.
hmm
But they added skill-based matchmaking like later on into the game's life. But the problem is that there were four like separate classes you could be in. You could be like the top tier, the bottom tier, or like the two tiers.
Yeah, it's not quite enough.
Yeah, the problem is nobody were in the middle two tiers. So if you were in those two tiers, you'd have a very tough time trying to find people.
I would have assumed it was the other way around. I would have assumed that everybody would be conglomerating in the middle tiers, and if you were in the extreme bottom or the extreme top, it would have been bad. But I guess it was,
No,
huh?
it was either all or nothing, really.
Hmm, weird. I mean, I haven't played it just because it's not on PC. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I got it for PS4 back at launch. Didn't know it was coming to like Xbox or Switch.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I'm so mad that it never came to PC because I want to play it really badly, but I don't want to buy it for Switch because I don't own one. I have one down at my parents' place that I bought for them, and then I don't own a PlayStation or an Xbox anymore, and so it's like I guess I just don't get to play it. Like they have the Insane trilogy, the Reignited trilogy, and they have Crash 4 on PC, but they never released Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled.
Yeah, I find that one weird. Like
Yeah.
Spyro's on PC, everything else is on PC, but not this one game.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it's been what, nearly 3 years since release now, I think.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of hope. I'm getting my Klonoa remakes. That's all that matters this year. But jeez, and I might not even be getting my Klonoa remakes this year because it looks like only the Switch version's coming out in July. I don't know when the rest of them are.
I don't think the American release is gonna have the physical edition either.
It's gonna have the what edition?
Physical release.
Oh yeah, I saw that too. I wasn't too worried about getting the physical release anyway because, like I said, I play on PC, and typically we kind of get shafted on those kind of things.
Yeah, not really surprising.
hmm
Yeah, you should have seen Grand Theft Auto 5's physical release on PC.
I'm trying to remember if it's anything like the other GTA's. It would have been like having a map inside of it of Los Santos.
There was, but there was also a game case with 7 discs inside.
Oh yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, that was 2013, so that would have been the tail end of the console generation when the games were getting a little too big.
Well, the PC release was 2015.
Was it? No, I thought that was the next gen. Yeah, I guess it was 2014 for the Xbox One and PS4, and then it was 2015 for PC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and it was like 60 gigabytes, which at the time was like, which at the time was huge, but now it's half the game size because of all the online updates.
Yeah, that's become an issue, and it's not something that can't be solved, right? Like, it used to be that games had to fit a certain size to fit on a disc or something, but nowadays they don't care about that, especially like Call of Duty. they they just don't even care. Like they could have a much smaller file size, but they just keep tacking things on and on and on without actually like integrating it into the game.
I think Vanguard is like 270 gigabytes.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous, and that's probably a good reason why no one's playing it.
If you were to have Vanguard, Warzone, and Cold War on a PS5, you would only just have enough space for Modern Warfare.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And if you bought a base PS4, you can just forget about it. You won't
Hmm.
even have three of those games installed.
Right, and some places, some countries, or just some locations that have more rural areas that have like bad internet connections or something, and they constantly have to have these like 30 gigabyte updates and whatnot. Like they're going to spend more time updating than they are playing the games.
Why are the updates so big as well?
I think from what I heard is that what it used to be is that it would change some of the game files to include some of the new content, but for games like Call of Duty, all they do is they take entire parts of the game that already exist on the main game and basically copy it over so that you have way more that you have to download and you're just replacing it instead of changing it.
Back in the day, I think on Xbox 360, the highest size update I think I'd see was 200 megabytes for Minecraft.
Yeah, that would make more sense. It just went crazy with these once people started. I mean, but during the Xbox 360 era, it was still common to purchase games on disc, and it was kind of secondary
Yeah,
to buy things online. But now it's the opposite, right? The new PlayStation 5, the one of the models doesn't even have a disc drive, right? It's a digital only edition.
yeah. I prefer the look of the digital version over the physical one
Hmm. I mean, it's
because
hmm?
because on the like the physical one you can just see like this bulge on like the one of the ends of the PlayStation. It just looks so awkward.
Hmm.
Like it's uneven, and that annoys me.
Fair enough. I mean, I don't mind either one. I'm mostly saying that just because like once things are all digital, you don't have to worry about whether things fit on a disc or how many discs you're gonna have to send out to the consumer. It's
Yeah,
just
just
yeah, it's that lack of an inconvenience has made them a little too confident, in my opinion.
especially with preloading becoming like the standard now.
Hmm. Preloading's fine, but once
Yeah,
again, it's still
that's like
annoying.
yeah, that's like the best thing about digital games now. I remember Forza Horizon 5 that came out like I think it's 5 months ago now.
Hmm.
That didn't have any preloading.
Yeah, Forza game has to be really big because those games are all about the graphics.
It was released at 5 o'clock in the morning my time, and I didn't want to wait that long, so I just went to bed. And there was no preloading, so I woke up at like 2 in the afternoon, and I only finished downloading at 11 at night.
Yeah, see, I can't imagine that.
Yeah, it was like 110 gigabytes or something stupid.
Hmm. Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, preloading is needed for these types of games.
My current PC only has 500 gigabytes of SSD, and so I have to cram everything.
And
And
here I am struggling with 4 terabytes.
yeah, I can't imagine. I just have to. I basically have like one or two games that aren't like from 1998 preloaded onto my system at any time when I play them.
Yeah, just constantly uninstalling, reinstalling games as well.
Hmm.
If you don't have bad internet, it's not too bad. But if you've got like really bad internet, just don't bother.
Right. I've got a great internet connection, otherwise I wouldn't even be streaming. The issue is it still takes forever when the game is 70 gigabytes, right? Like when I downloaded
Yeah,
Cyberpunk or like you said with the Call of Duty games in particular.
yeah. A friend of mine downloaded Elden Ring recently on his gigabit internet, and it took like 20 minutes.
Yeah, we technically have gigabit, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, mine's the same way with the consoles because they're wireless. Turns
Hmm.
out wired makes a big difference.
Yeah, people. My buddy would always never shut up because we lived in the same house for a while, and he hooked up to Ethernet and I didn't, and he was always reassuring me about how it was so much faster. It's like we don't have an issue with our connection to the modem. It's our modem's connection to the internet that's causing like any sort of latency.
So I switched to wired when I got my new PC because I forgot to get a Wi-Fi adapter,
Mm-hmm.
and the speed went up by double.
No kidding.
Yeah, double the
Hmm.
speed.
Yeah. I am doing wireless, but that's because I live basically I'm in the attic of this house. That was the room that was left for me when I moved in, and I don't have a wireless adapter either. Really, I just have these like prong. Well, I have these like prong things that are basically connected by coaxial to the back of my computer.
Oh, coaxial?
Are they? No, they're not coaxial. What are they? It's something weird that I've never seen like used in a computer anywhere else. It works, but it's weird. I basically have an antenna for my computer.
Either I'm pretty young or I'm getting old, not remembering stuff.
I feel that.
Yeah, everything's just done by USB now.
That's fair.
Yeah, I like simple. Simple's good sometimes.
I mean, for computers, you want to have a standard for everything. Otherwise, you're spending money you don't need to be.
Yeah, especially with consoles and like some of the adapters you can get.
Hmm. Or if you just happen to own an Apple product.
Yeah, that too. Although with the new law in EU with the USB-C passing thing, that might be changing.
I saw something like that, but I don't remember seeing enough to like understand.
Basically, basically everything that needs to be recharged now needs to use a USB-C device.
Oh, okay. Yeah, finally having a standard.
So iPhones, Android, PlayStation controllers, Xbox controllers, kids' toys, whatever needs to be charged now needs to be USB-C.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Because even here in the US, everything is USB-C except for Apple products. And they'll probably continue to use Lightning adapters and the whatnot just because they want to sell it to you.
Now I can finally use an iOS charger to charge a PlayStation controller.
Right. Oh, that'd be nice. We're very sensitive about our open market in the US, and so something like that would probably never pass, unfortunately.
Yeah. It does mean that Apple does need to change a lot of their products now, though.
Yeah, I mean, boo-hoo, right?
Yeah.
It's either that or they don't get to sell them in Europe, right? And that's kind of a big market for them. By kind of, I mean entirely. USB-C just does everything you need it to do. It's good for, like you said, charging things with power. It's good for
It's
data
smaller.
transfer. It's smaller. It can be done on both ends. It just works really well. So there's really no point, in my opinion, to not having one of them.
Yeah, I think even the Switch has it now as well.
Hmm.
Like where the dock is.
Yeah, but I think the Switch version in particular. I mean, the Switch USB-C it runs on a different voltage that isn't standard, and so it's highly recommended you don't use it with anything else.
Yeah, I've heard of cases where people's docks have broken because of that.
Yeah, I've heard the opposite too, where people who use the USB-C from their switches for like their phones or something, and it caused issues with their phones.
I remember talking to someone about Switch issues, and he said that the charger he used for his Switch dock basically bricked the dock. It can
Hmm.
still charge, but it doesn't like display anything on the TV.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
So
don't
you
know.
have so it's basically a Switch Lite without the Switch Lite with the detachable Joy-Cons at this point.
Fair enough. Makes me think also. I mean, in Europe, you guys have different standards for how power is drawn, and it used to be a lot
Yeah,
bigger with like 50 hertz and 60 hertz PAL. But I don't. I think that it's less noticeable now, but there's still differences in the hardware for a
yeah.
lot of things.
I think it's different voltage for both countries.
So I'm wondering if that means that using like uh, a USB-C from an American switch on a European switch would like cause issues or anything like that, or if it's too similar.
Yeah, probably be different because of the voltage change.
Mm-hmm.
I think I I could be wrong, but I think America charges you well American technological stuff. I can't speak.
Mm-hmm. No worries.
Yeah, American stuff, American things like TV use 240 volts, and Europe uses 120.
Yeah, around half.
Yeah, so yeah, as you can imagine, overvolting is never a good thing.
Yeah, it's been like that for a while, and unfortunately, Europe used to get the short end of the stick on everything. Like not
Yeah,
just having to run at a lower hertz for games, right? But also having to have. It used to be a lot of games would have options for more languages in Europe for obvious reasons, right? The European versions, and because of that, they would run out of space, and they'd have to cut some things out of those versions of the games to make room for the languages.
and then the language select screen would also cause glitches sometimes in some games.
Oh yeah, Crash Team Racing is one of them actually.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
hmm Uh,
Like,
hmm?
how does that happen?
It loads. I mean, from my own perspective, I mean, I guess it just loads whatever characters it needs as a sheet whenever you select it. And so if you cancel out of it, then it never loads anything, and so it ends up just only having the default characters that are included in every language.
Question is, why did they program this so you could actually quit out?
Yeah, that's definitely an oversight more than anything. But I don't know how they could let that something that simple be an oversight.
Yeah, I know Gran Turismo 3. I have the US version and PAL version.
hmm
The US version always loads into English. There's no exceptions. But
hmm
in the PAL version, you got four different languages.
Mm. One thing that I think was interesting that kind of ruined a game in the United States is that there's this racing game from the PS2 that came from Japan, and in the European version they kept it so that all the money was in yen, right? Japanese yen. But for
Oh,
whatever reason, they switched it to American dollars in the U.S. And because of the conversion, but without actually changing the logic of the game, it made it so that it was impossible to race the final boss because it was more money than could be capped out.
yeah, I've heard about that story. It's like 10 short of what you need as well, or one short.
Yeah, because it was, and so you basically needed an action replay to do the final race.
Like, it's so close. You spend all that time and money, and
hmm
it's just right there, one away.
Yeah,
Yeah, they can't get it.
that's another thing that should have probably been checked. And also, why bother changing in the first place? The game still takes place in Japan. Why is everything in U.S. dollars?
I know some Japanese to PAL games have some issues with timings and stuff, like in-game time.
Yes, that's because in older games, uh, the clocks are tied to frame time. And so if you know
Yeah,
your game is going to run at 60 FPS, then you're going to make it so that you're going to tell yourself, okay, we need to make it so that 1 second passes every 60 frames. But if you're running on a 50 hertz machine that's running like PAL, for example, then that slows it down.
yeah. There's this game that I really like, Road Trip Adventure.
hmm
In the American version, everything's fine, but in the PAL version, the game runs at like 5/6 the American speed.
hmm
But the problem is the timer still runs at full speed.
Yeah, so that makes it a lot harder.
Yeah, so the game will say like do this in under 2 minutes, but you could be spending a little under 2 minutes just on both versions.
hmm
Get get to 2 minutes, but you get there at different points.
Right.
So the PAL version is like the hardest version of the game because of that limitation.
Yeah. At the very least, like one thing that's a benefit for PAL players is that oftentimes the European versions of games were the last to be released, and that meant that they got more bug fixes, they got more like quality of life changes for games than the Japanese or Americans did.
Yeah, I think it was the Japanese, America, and then Europe.
I mean, it depended on the publisher. Obviously, some of them wanted to do it at the same time. Some of them didn't care, but I mean, I think it just took more time in the oven for European versions just because of the language issues and I guess just making sure that it can run on systems across the end and meet the requirements for every country's laws on video games.
And now it's basically worldwide day one.
Right. I mean, Germany still creates some issues, I know.
Yeah, and China.
China barely even factors into the market of some games just because there's no way that some of them are going to release.
China's surprisingly like a huge place for gaming
It
as
does.
well.
It definitely does. But a lot of like, single player first person games, for example, like they're just not going to get released. And that's been that way forever with how much of a stronghold they have on it. That's why the only games that really release in China that also release here are like online games
Yeah, I
because
think
those are easier to
Valorant.
regulate. Hmm?
I think Valorant was one.
Yeah, Valorant is definitely one because Riot is owned by Tencent, which is a Chinese company.
Yeah, more of a technicality in that case, I'd say.
And then CS:GO is, but they make changes, right? Like for whatever reason, skulls are a really big issue in China in games, which I think is interesting.
Halo's also had like its own version being published to China.
hmm Call of Duty did for
Interest,
a while.
Interestingly, on the Xbox One version of the Halo Master Chief Collection, if you own both the English and Chinese versions, they actually counted as separate games.
Mm. Yes, I think if it's a Chinese version, typically I think by law they have to run on like Chinese specific servers that could be regulated differently.
Yeah, but if you buy a Chinese version from China and run it on like a European or American Xbox, it'll just
hmm
work just fine.
That's interesting.
It'll play in English and everything. They'll just have all the changes the Chinese version has.
Huh. Was not aware of that. But usually, like it's so exaggerated how much work needs to be put in to change things for the Chinese version that a lot of games just don't even release in the region, and most big AAA companies will just focus on Germany and Australia as being the two biggest fences to jump when it comes to actually getting things released in worldwide countries. Because for whatever
Yeah,
reason, their laws are pretty sensitive.
yeah. It turns out it's mainly just the video games. I don't know if they're the same about movies or TV shows.
I think Germany tends to be pretty sensitive about some stuff, especially relating to the 20th century.
Yeah. Ooh, I wonder why.
Yeah, right. Like I know for sure that I mean, but the thing is like it's pretty obvious when things are changed. Like I saw
Yeah.
something on Wolfenstein 2's release in Germany and how one of the ways they censored it was by getting rid of Hitler's mustache. It's like
Isn't the whole point is to kill him?
I don't think you kill him in the game specifically. I think by the time that game happens, he's old and decrepit and kind of like suffering from dementia or something.
Yeah, sometimes the censorship can be odd.
Yeah, I mean the developers don't care; they just want to get their games on the shelves.
I'm surprised the Wolfenstein was even released in Germany sometimes.
I don't think the original was for quite a while, at least not with serious changes.
I think the original can be remade. Well, I can't speak again. Re-released.
Yeah, yeah. They can play it now, but it used to
Yeah.
be not the case. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame Germany for being sensitive about that sort of stuff, but you can get away with more in Japan regarding like their escapades in like World War II than Germany will let you.
For a while, I don't think Germany let you have any references at all.
I'm not sure what the specifics are because I've never been to Germany, but
Oh me.
mm,
I do talk to someone that's German, so I can ask him.
mm, yeah, I gotcha. I think it always comes back to Left 4 Dead somehow, but their version of Left 4 Dead, um, the zombies had to like disappear as soon as they died or something, or in Counter Strike they had to like surrender instead of being killed. It's really
It's weird.
interesting.
It's weird because over here we still have some censored games.
Mm?
We still can't play the original version of Carmageddon, I don't think.
No kidding. You still, I mean, yeah, that's fair. Carmageddon in Europe. uh, I think the PlayStation version is pretty close to uncensored, just like Green Blood, right?
Yeah, it just doesn't run that well.
Fair enough. What was I? In the U.S., we still had censorship, but it's not like a regional censorship, right? If we got censored, then everybody got censored,
Yeah.
like SNES Mortal Kombat or and that sort of thing,
Yeah, looking back on it, that was like a huge thing, but now it's just like whatever.
right? I mean, it's still a big deal. It's just nobody can do anything about it. Like we understand better about the influence that these sort of things can have on us, which is not a whole lot.
Yeah, and it just now by today's standards it looks so tame. It was like people complain about this.
Hmm. A big part of it is we had American senators, including one of our presidential candidates, Hillary Clinton, who was a big advocate for censorship of video games. And so it was like a huge, huge deal. Everything has to be dramatic in the U.S., especially when it's televised. And so it was
Yeah.
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and American channels run a lot of ads as well compared
Yeah,
to the UK.
people are sick of it. People around here are dropping television so quickly in exchange for things like streaming services and like
It's just
YouTube and whatnot, and the things you can pay for to get rid of advertisements.
it is just more convenient. There's less or no ads. There's probably more content, and in some cases cheaper.
Yeah, I've always been a firm believer that a lot of like when people talk about Americans are stupid, right? The stereotype. A lot of it feels like that because of the how insulting some of the commercials and ads that are run seem to feel. Like it almost insults the intelligence.
Yeah, when I watched Battlebots when it was on, I used to watch it live.
Hmm.
They would they would run in 2 hour segments for each episode every week. But
Hmm.
in between those 2 hours, there would be 40 minutes of ads.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
Hmm.
That's nearly half the episode just ads.
That's why I'm so glad that television's being phased out. And people are sick of it. People don't want to listen to these terrible ads. But one thing that I didn't know wasn't a thing outside of the US until recently was advertisements for medicine and like hospitals.
Yeah, that seems to be a big thing in the US.
Yes, because we have privatized healthcare, and so we spend a lot of money on getting help. And so they're always advertising to you. They're advertising new medications. Ask your doctor about this, and it's very strange. Everybody knows that too. That like hearing that kind of stuff is like why would I listen to a commercial about my healthcare plan, right? Like a doctor's gonna know best. It's like why are they allowed to sell this to me?
Yeah, over here too, but it's not as common.
It's very very common here, which is always just weird to me.
Over here, it's mainly just ads about like financial stuff or healthy eating or car stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind that. What I'm saying is like if there's a medicine that you can only get by prescription from a doctor, like you have to go into a doctor's office and get a prescription for this based off of your care, and they'll advertise it to you, hoping that you'll go to the doctor and ask for it of your doctor.
Yeah, we don't get that.
We get that a lot. We also get them for certain, like go to this hospital instead of this hospital type stuff, right? Because we have better care and we are more affordable. It's like, this is weird.
Yeah,
And we know it too. There's just not a whole lot we can do about it right now.
yeah. America seems to do some things well, but then other things not so well.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, yeah,
uh, hmm?
that's every place though. I'd
Right.
say.
I mean, there's a cost that comes to our like we're like I said, we're very proud of our open market, but there's some things that should probably be not a privatized like business, I guess. And healthcare should be one of them.
Yeah, it's just when you're a European looking into America and just see everything that's going on, it's like, why?
Yeah, and don't think we don't know, right, that it's completely ridiculous. It's just that it can sometimes be out of our power.
Yeah, and then Americans look at us like, wait, you have that?
Sometimes. When it comes to things like healthcare, absolutely. We're like, God, why can't we have that? But for other things, like you said, everybody has their own problems.
Yeah,
Let's see. Are we running on time? We're just about at the echelon of time here. I don't know if you noticed.
I just noticed the time.
Yeah. All right. Uh, well, thank you so much for being on here. I appreciate it. It's very insightful to talk to people from around the world, especially, and kind of have these kind of discussions.
Yeah, same here, really. I was just still nervous though.
Oh, yeah. Well, you did fine. Yeah. Well, thanks again. I do think this is where it gets on because I have to go do something real quick. But thank you so much again for being on.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, have a great day, dude.
You too.